Well, the Bruins of UCLA opened the season with 2 losses by a total of 3 points, but since that time, they have won 3 straight games. And against Washington, they've won 3 of the last 4. This is their first meeting against the Huskies since 1990. And, of course, Washington ineligible for the Rose Bowl, and we talked to their head coach about their motivation.
We see ourselves as the major independent school in the West that is competing against the Pac-9, and they voted 9-0 against us, so we owe each one of them something.
2nd and 7. California leads Washington 23-17. 1:08 left to go. Heward is hit as he throws. The catch is made. Touchdown! Washington! Mark Bruner! And, of course, that last weekend in Berkeley, the extra point was good, and the great, amazing comeback by the University of Washington. Along with John Spagnola, I'm Roger Twibble. And John, even more amazing than that comeback by the Huskies was the fact that Damon Heward was still in there at quarterback at the end. 4 interceptions, a couple of fumbles, but Lambright stayed with him, and it paid dividends.
He certainly did. Damon Heward, to his credit, hung in there throughout the game and overcame some adversity. And Jim Lambright hung with him, didn't pull his quarterback, and with 3.5 minutes left in the game, he was a near perfect 12 for 14. But he'll be facing a UCLA defense led by Jameer Miller, who specializes in the turnover. Jameer Miller had 4.5 of his team's 11 sacks last week against BYU. Both of those numbers represent school records.
Well, coming up next, ABC Sports College Football. Today we present a Pac-10 matchup featuring the Huskies of the University of Washington and the Bruins of UCLA. They will receive Jason Crabb, the senior from Laguna Beach, California, to kick it off. And Derek Ayers, 25. Teddy Lawrence, number 2, back deep for UCLA. That is Ayers. And no! Lawrence says, don't go anywhere, buddy. Stay right there, and we'll just bring it on out to the 20-yard line to get this thing started today.
That might be his best stop of the afternoon.
Wayne Cook, the quarterback for the UCLA Bruins. He's had an outstanding year. 9 touchdowns, just 1 interception, 83 consecutive attempts without an INT. And this is the way it'll shape up for Wayne Cook and the UCLA Bruins with Stokes. He's been the main man so far this year, 8 touchdown receptions. Jordan Ellis, Davis, and Milliner with back-to-back 100-yard games. And with some injuries, Ricky Davis getting the start at running back. But UCLA will open up with 3 wide receivers and the lone setback. 1st and 10, 20-yard line. Delay, and that's Milliner on the right side. Good, strong running. Gain of about 3 by James Milliner, Andy Mason, and Steve Springstead on the tackle. And let's set the offensive line. Nowitzki in his 40th consecutive start for the Bruins, and Vaughn Parker, the All-America. They're the bookends at tackles for Terry Donahue's UCLA Bruins. 2nd down and 7, 23-yard line. UCLA will send Stokes, number 18, and Kevin Jordan, number 4, to the top of your screen. Going nowhere. Ricky Davis, the ball carrier, and Jamal Fontaine was right there to stack him up. And let's check that Washington defense for you right now. 4th in the nation in rushing defense. Fontaine is the main man. 36 tackles, 12 of those for losses. The linebackers, Demetrius Devers getting the start today in place of the injured Donovan Schmidt. And in the secondary for the Huskies of Washington, a new group this year, and they'll be tested today on 3rd down and 8 from the 22-yard line. Out of the shotgun. Wayne Cook and the Bruins have been slow starters offensively this year as they'll swing it to Milliner on the far side, and he has nowhere to go at the 25-yard line. Hillary Butler and Lewis Jones both there to stop him. That's the first pass reception of the year by fullback James Milliner, and that'll bring up a punting situation for the Bruins of UCLA.
One nice thing about the UCLA offense, even though they didn't convert here, is that Wayne Cook is not going to take unnecessary chances with the football. He's now thrown 84 passes without an interception this year. They're not going to take chances because they have a lot of faith in their defense.
Bino Bryant back deep, and Darren Shager to punt from inside his 10-yard line. Bryant, the all-time leading punt returner in Washington history, is brought down at the 49-yard line for the Bruins of UCLA. Down on the coverage was Andrew McClave, number 42. And there's a look at Damon Heward. I don't know, it looks a little bit like the late Elvis Presley in my mind. But look at that game last week. You see the first 56 minutes, 10 of 20, 4 interceptions, 2 fumbles. In the last 3:47, 12 of 14, and 2 touchdowns. Bruner, watch him, the tight end. He's their leading receiver. As Washington will have it 1st and 10 from their own 49-yard line. Heward wants to throw, and he gets it to Kaufman. Always dangerous, and Kaufman, a gain of about 5. Loose ball. Football came loose from Kaufman, but it looked like he was able to recover his own fumble. The offensive line's a good, solid group for the University of Washington, and Tom Gallagher will keep an eye on him, the senior, 6'5" and 300 pounds. Damon Heward, sophomore, 6'4", 220 pounds. His coach Jim Lambright said he went from being a 20-year-old to a 40-year-old last week in that come-from-behind victory as they pulled 2 men and going nowhere that time. Is the fullback Matt Jones. Jameer Miller, the junior from El Cerrito, the first man to get in there. As we'll take a look at that defensive line for UCLA, the wild man, George Case in the middle at nose guard, the inspirational leader. You just saw Miller make the tackle. 23 tackles on the year, 10 of those for losses. And then in the secondary for the Bruins, Marvin Goodwin, strong safety, number 22. He'll come up and put a lick on you. He's got 31 tackles on the year and a couple of interceptions. 3rd down and 9. 3 wideouts for the Huskies. Heward looking right, he's got a man open, and the reception made by Dave Janoski. That's enough for the 1st down at the 35-yard line. Carl Greenwood on the tackle, 17 yards on the pickup. And, John, that's a guy that's just caught 4 balls this year.
He only caught 4 passes this year because Jason Shelley has been suspended. He's out for the season, but he runs a good little head move inside. Is enough to free Carl Greenwood as Janoski takes it outside. What I noticed that we'll keep an eye on this today is Heward pretty much always looks in the direction in which he's going to throw the football. That's something as he develops, he'll stop doing as much.
On 1st and 10 from the 32, Napoleon Kaufman. And Kaufman averaging over 5 yards a carry, nearly 600 yards rushing this year. Carl Greenwood came up to make the tackle. Napoleon Kaufman from nearby Lompoc, California, 5'9" and 175, 5 rushing touchdowns. Also a threat catching the ball out of the backfield.
And UCLA defensively is scared to death about Kaufman. You're going to see not only good front side rush defense, but backside. Bob Field, the defensive coordinator, has emphasized everybody has to stay in their lanes against Kaufman because he can break it anywhere.
2nd down and 6 from the 28. That's Kaufman in motion with double tight ends. The handoff to the fullback. That's Matt Jones. Jones inside the 5, down to the 3-yard line. Solid blocking up front, and Matt Jones, the senior from Portland, Oregon, finally brought down by Teddy Lawrence.
Kaufman puts himself in motion. You don't see that, but that removes a linebacker, and Matt Jones is able to break it right up the middle with some powerful running right in the middle of that UCLA defense. But the motion by Kaufman, a smart play by Washington as they were able to get UCLA's attention on Kaufman as they put him in motion after running him on the previous play.
1st and goal from the 3. Kaufman outside, touchdown. Napoleon Kaufman with the push-ups. 6th rushing touchdown of the year for Napoleon Kaufman. And John, we talked before the game, who can run the football might be the team that wins this game today.
That's right. Watch the block by number 60, Andrew Peterson, as he just waffles his guy on the right side, and Kaufman is able to get into the end zone. Good blocking up front, and this was what Washington wants to do offensively, just pound the football. They have a powerful running attack.
Travis Hansen, 14 out of 14 this year on the point afters, and that's good. So with 11 minutes to go, 1st quarter from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, Washington leads UCLA 7-0. you. In the Rose Bowl, Teddy Lawrence and Derek Ayers back deep as Jason Crabb will kick it off. The Huskies have jumped out to the quick 7-0 lead. And Ayers fumbles the ball, and Teddy Lawrence loses it. Washington's got it. Washington's got it. Number 1, Lewis Jones. Number 1, Lewis Jones fell on it. And
unbelievable. You could say that 2 out of the last 3 kickoffs for the Huskies have turned into fumble recoveries, as they got an onside kick against Cal, and they get one here, right here. But this ball easily should have been caught and then recovered as John Lewis just steps right on. I'm sorry, Lewis Jones, number 1, just steps right in, makes the recovery.
Well, Lawrence tried to do the right thing and covered it up. It just bounced off his shoulder. And there's Jim Lambright, the first-year head coach, who hopes to have a little bit more success against the Bruins than his predecessor. Don James was 5-8-1 against the Bruins, the only Pac-10 team he didn't have a winning record against. On 1st and goal from the 3, Heward will throw for the corner and just overthrown Matt Jones, the intended receiver, the fullback out there. So Washington, John, had done a good job in their previous to the Cal game last week in forcing those turnovers, making the other teams pay for them, and they got a real break there on a kickoff.
Well, it's interesting, too, because UCLA leads the nation in turnover margin with +3. They're very, very stingy when it comes to giving the ball up. But I also think that Lambright's decision to kick off initially has put his team in a good position here. They score, they hold. And now they're able to capitalize on the turnover deep in UCLA territory. 2nd and goal from the 3.
Heward still got it. Gets maybe a yard down to the 2-yard line. Matt Warner, 92. The first man to hit him, senior from Yorba Linda. Warner, along with Parker and Nowitzki on the offense, the only 3 players for UCLA to have started the game in 1990, the last time these 2 teams played one another. These have been close games the last several years between UCLA and Washington. 7 of the last 8 games have been decided by 7 or fewer points. As Terry Donahue looks on a 3rd and goal from the 2-yard line for the Huskies. That's Leif Johnson in motion. Kaufman. No signal. No signal. UCLA saying they've got the football. And the officials are signaling yes, indeed.
One thing UCLA teaches is to take the football away. That's their 21st turnover this year. And they teach to hold ball carriers up and strip ball carriers. It's something that they've been charting since the first day of training camp this year. Napoleon Kaufman is telling his coach and players on the sideline, hey, the ball was down or the ball didn't really come out. But that's to no avail, as Terry Donahue does a good job with his staff of really preaching to get the turnovers defensively. And what a key turnover for the UCLA team.
It looked like Donnie Edwards, number 23, that came up with the strip, and that would be his 2nd fumble recovery of the year. So from the 1-yard line, the Bruins, and Cook loses it. Ball lost in the end zone. Cook loses the snap, and Washington signaling they've got it.
It's either a safety or a touchdown.
Safety.
It's a safety.
So the mishandled
Look at the left
snap.
guard pull. While the snap is mishandled, the left guard pulls number 76, Derek Stevens, and gets in the way. UCLA is able to recover it and only lose 2 points instead of 7. See how the ball pops out, and by then Wayne Cook can't clear his left guard who's pulling.
That's Derek Stevens, 76.
That's right. It looks like Stevens had a chance at recovering, and I think he did recover it, and that's what led to the safety.
Now keep in mind that UCLA has had a couple of offensive linemen injured, including their center. So Mike Flanagan, a sophomore from Sacramento, making just his 2nd start. Christensen, their starter, is out. Jonathan Ogden, a starter, tackle's also out. So a miscue on the snap between Cook and Flanagan. And this has been a wild scene here for the last couple of minutes. So the safety, and Washington now leads 9-0.
Let's take a look at the snap again, because sometimes quarterbacks will pull out too soon, especially if they know they have to clear a guard who's going to be pulling on a running.
It's kind of unusual to be pulling
right
down
here.
there, too.
The ball comes up all right. seems like Cook just doesn't get his hands on the ball and loses it, and by the time the guard's pulling. You are right, though, Roger. That is a risky play to call if you're going to pull guards. Usually you just try and wedge the blockers and try and force a little room there for
that's
yourself.
A lot of movement close on the goal line because you know, John, that defense is going to pinch in on you. And trying to get that snap and make a move with that big guard coming along there, I'm sure Cook knew that situation and was trying to get out of the way quickly enough to allow the guard to come by. So we've got a free kick situation, and Darren Shaker will punt it. Bean O'Brien back along with Napoleon Kaufman, two very dangerous return men. So with 9:49 to go, first quarter, Washington leads at 9-0. Beautiful punt. Kaufman will take it from the 25 and try the left side, and is brought down at the 43-yard line. And right now, let's send you to New York and John Saunders.
Roger, to the Big Ten, Michigan State, Ohio State. The Buckeyes, Bobby Hoying goes to Joey Galloway, 22 yards, 6 plays, 67 yards on their opening drive. 6 games this year. They've scored on the opening drive each time. 7-3, back to you.
Thank you very much, John. So a sort of a wild and woolly, I'll turn it over. No, we'll turn it over back to you. No, we'll turn it over back to you scenario. And with 9:43 to go, first quarter, 9-0. Washington leads as Kralik goes in motion to the far side for the Huskies. 1st and 10 from the 43-yard line, and Napoleon Kaufman eludes one tackle and manages to gain a couple back, but he still loses a yard or two. Jameer Miller, 95, the first man back in there for the Bruins of UCLA. And he's done a little bit of everything this year, John. 23 tackles, 10 of those for losses, 8.5 sacks, and he's got a fumble recovery.
He does, and he's been in the backfield on 2 plays already today. He had a tackle for a loss earlier today on Washington's first drive. So he's going to spend a lot of time in that backfield, and he is, as I said, emerging as one of the best pass rushing specialists in the country.
He's got 8.5 sacks over the last 3 games and now has 19.5 on his career. On 2nd and 11, wide open is Conwell, the tight end. Conwell gets all the way inside the 20-yard line. Donovan Gallatin, 26, one of the men to bring him down. 39 yards on the pickup. Greenwood also there on the tackle.
Watch the play action pass. Just freeze the linebackers. You can see Conwell release. There are no linebackers near Conwell. They should be within a yard or two of him on a pass play. He actually caught the ball and expected to get hit. Realizing he was in the open field. I'll tell you, sometimes as a tight end, that's a little bit embarrassing. You say, where is everybody?
You're used to getting hit, aren't you, John,
right.
as a tight end coming across?
Catch the ball and they put their head down. When they're in open space, they're at a loss. But it reminds me of the play that Washington ran last week against Cal, in which Conwell fumbled, but it was the same type of play. And when you have the kind of running game that the Huskies have, those are kind of plays are very effective.
Well, Damon Heward off to a much better start this week than last week against the University of California. And one of the things they've had to do is try to adjust to the loss of Jason Shelley, who had 17 receptions. He's been suspended for the year, and they are looking at their tight ends more. Brunner now their leading receiver, and Conwell on a 1st and 10 from the 19-yard line. Heward will check off at the line of scrimmage. And they'll give it to Kaufman. Left side, it's a foot race! No, they call him out at the 1-yard line. Tommy Bennett was the man that eventually forced him out. 18 yards on the pickup for Napoleon Kaufman.
When you have the penetration upfield that a Jameer Miller applies, if you can get inside that penetration, as Washington does right there, and burst upfield as Kaufman does, let's watch his feet and see where he steps out. Geez, it appears that maybe that right foot might have touched the line, and that's where the ball was. But you just get a good idea of the explosiveness of this guy. He was held in check somewhat last week. And it looked like, to me, he got in the end zone.
1st and goal from the 1-yard line. Kaufman stumbles, but he gets in the end zone. Touchdown, Washington.
Kaufman running over the left side again for a touchdown. It seems that most of the gains for the Washington Husky offense have come off the left side of their offensive line.
Point after, Travis Hansen. Perfect so far this year, 15 out of 15. And that one is no good. So he misses his first extra point try of the year. And with 8:28 to go, first quarter, Washington leads UCLA 15-0. Taste Amstel Light. Right. By Allied Signals Fram filters. You can pay a little now or a lot later. Along with John Spagnola, I'm Roger Twibell at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Jason Crabb to kick it off, and Teddy Lawrence, number 2, and Derek Ayers, 25, and that's Ayers who'll take it. And he is brought down at the 11-yard line. Ayers had just one kickoff return coming into this game, but Colbert, who usually is back on kick returns, is injured.
Good blocking on the left side. That's 60, Andrew Peterson, 71, Pete Pearson, the big tight end Conwell, clear a massive hole on the inside there. And the Huskies have had a lot of success so far running the football against UCLA. UCLA defensively has averaged only 1.1 yards per rush in the last 3 games, but they played Stanford, BYU, and San Diego State, and I think now UCLA is playing against a lot better opposition today in the Washington Huskies.
Well, they beat San Diego State 52-13 and BYU 68-14 on 1st and 10 from the 12-yard line. Cook back to throw, and he's got a man at the 20-yard line. The reception made by J.J. Stokes, number 18, the junior from San Diego. Lamar Lyons was there on the coverage. I mentioned, John, that they're a slow-starting offense. I didn't mean this slow. This is just their second offensive play.
Well, the thing UCLA likes, too, is the scheme so far for them this year, at least the pattern has been the defense gets the turnover, sets up good field position, the offense capitalizes on it. But so far today, the exact opposite has happened, and they're going to have to just drive the football against this Husky defense. It looks like Washington got rid of all their turnovers last week against Cal.
Well, Darren Washington, Sharman Shaw both out for this game, so Ricky Davis, the man right there, the senior from Houston, Texas, the ball carrier, and he's got the first down. Lamar Lyons came up from his free safety spot to make the tackle, and Terry Donahue's been in a situation before this year. A couple of close games early on with Cal. They got behind early, staged to come back late.
But he was looking forward to this game. This game was supposed to be a barometer for how far this UCLA team has come. And certainly it's early in the game, but I'm sure he's not very pleased with the events as they've unfolded so far today.
And I think he felt they had some pretty good practices as the inside handoff goes to Ricky Davis. Hillary Butler, number 45, was there to make the tackle. Davis comes into this game with just 12 carries and 54 yards for a touchdown. I mean, he was all the way down about 4th on the depth chart this year because Darren Washington, Sharman Shaw, Derek Ayers, and then the freshman Skip Hicks. But fortunately for UCLA, tailback has been their deepest position. And they've got a lot of injuries there. Shaw is out for the year with knee surgery as they'll go to the shotgun now on 2nd down and 7. Cook looking down the middle. Now he comes near side. He overthrows Stokes. Looked like that time he was trying to find his tight end, Brian Allen, down the middle, and looked over to Stokes and overthrew him. Want to remind you, next Saturday, ABC Sports will present some exciting regional action. A lot of you will see Illinois take on Michigan, plus out of the WAC, Fresno State at BYU, plus other regional action. So check for the game on your ABC station and for the games available on pay-per-view. That's all next Saturday here on ABC Sports. 3rd down and 7. Allen, the tight end, will come to the near side. 3 wide receivers. As Cook down the middle, intercepted. Picked off by Lamar Lyons on the deflection. The intended receiver was Mike Wynn, and Lamar Lyons with his first interception of the year, and that stops the streak of Wayne Cook. He had not been intercepted since the first game of the year.
Well, the Huskies play a roll-up zone. They're dropping everybody back in coverage. Wayne Cook looks left, comes back right. He's got a ball available to Wynn, and Wynn was open there momentarily, but by the time the ball was thrown, the defender had driven the football, and that's how Kirkpatrick made the interception.
And the heat on Wayne Cook there as 75 to Marco Farr got to him. So 86 consecutive passes without an INT, and it finally happened as Heward goal near side. Bruner makes the catch, and Bruner still on his feet. They say no, he was out at the 25-yard line. That pass was nearly picked off. 14 yards on the reception.
You're right. Marvin Goodwin almost had a shot at that football, read the pattern, and made a play on the football, but Bruner is such a big target. Damon Heward knows how to use him. It's reminiscent of the touchdown reception last week against Cal. Just a flat pattern, Now watch Goodwin recognizing number 22. He drives the football, but he can't get there because the ball's thrown too high. And Bruner shows his power and speed as he bursts down the sideline and just steps out of bounds.
That's Bruner's 20th reception of the year, and 1st and 10 from the 24. It's been all Washington as fullback Matt Jones gets a handoff, and Jameer Miller with the stick. This has been a very aggressive, it's a very athletic, John, UCLA defense. They've got 21 sacks so far this year. Not that they're that big, but they're real quick and they're real aggressive.
And look at the total yards number. Washington with 129, the UCLA 17. And don't you get a sense that the momentum that was created from that come-from-behind win last week against Cal is carrying over to this game? How confident does Damon Ewart and this offense look so far today?
Absolutely. 3 wide receivers all split to the top of your screen on 2nd and 7 from the 21. Ewart looking to McCarthy, and the pass incomplete at the 15-yard line. The intended receiver was DJ McCarthy, who caught that 29-yard touchdown pass to pull Washington to within 6 last week. You know, the odd thing, Littleton was the man on the coverage.
The odd thing about these receivers, at least the wide receivers for the Huskies, is that none of them have double-figure receptions yet. And when Jason Shelley went out with the suspension for the year, he had 17 receptions, and the other entire wide receiving corps had 16 receptions. So, but they're stepping up and starting to play a lot better football.
3rd down and 7, 21-yard line. Ewart near side. He's got Theron Hill. Hill still on his feet before he's dragged out at the 11-yard line. Paul Guidry, the right side cornerback, the redshirt freshman, came up to make the tackle, and that's enough for the 1st down for the Huskies of the University of Washington. These are really, coming into this game, John, 2 evenly balanced teams.
They are. The scoring offense for UCLA, 37-2, Washington 38. That's number 2 and number 3, and points allowed just the opposite. Washington at 15, UCLA at 18-6. That ranks number 2 and 3 in the Pac-10. Well, so far, I'd say UCLA has done the giving.
UCLA came into the game allowing only 2 rushing touchdowns this year as Kralik goes in motion on a 1st and goal from the 10-yard line. Kaufman on the left side and just trying to follow people as best he can. UCLA did a terrific job that time to spread it out. Matt Werner, the right defensive tackle, was the guy who was initially in there on the contact.
They did. They really balled everything up and never gave him a lane to run in the short side of the football field.
John, when you played football, you know the programs and how they list your height and your weight. Now, how much tonnage did they put on you? I mean, what did you? It's usually 10 or 15 pounds.
I could take care of all the tonnage myself, Roger. I didn't have to put any on for me.
Well, Case weighs 245, Stretz 267, and Werner 265, and I got to believe those numbers are pumped up a little bit.
I'm sure they are, especially in George Case's case, who's 6'2", 255 as a sophomore, and they call him Psycho.
2nd and goal from the 8 on the option. Kaufman, and he gets down to the 5-yard line. Ewart can give you that option look, which makes things even more difficult for UCLA to defend. And Washington, they have been tough down in the red zone, inside the 20. They've scored on 20 of 23 possessions, 12 touchdowns and 6 field goals. And they've been very balanced, John, coming into this game. They've had 9 rushing touchdowns and 9 passing touchdowns and 1 on a return. And so they've added to that so far today. 3rd and goal from the 4-yard line. Jim Lambright, who is the head coach and also still the defensive coordinator. Kaufman fumbles. UCLA's got it. UCLA's got it. Donovan Gallatin came up with the fumble recovery, but the stick put on Napoleon Kaufman that knocked it loose. Looked like George Case was the man.
I believe it was. It was a great penetration up the middle. Kaufman could barely get the handoff.
George Case, the nose tackle. And so with 4:49 to go, 1st quarter, Washington leads it 15-0. Let's go to New York right now.
Roger, Tennessee and Alabama. Heath Schuler, watch this pass. Off his back foot, he tosses this one to Craig Faulkner, 25 yards. His 19th touchdown of the season. That's a new Tennessee record, and they lead the tie, 7-3. Roger.
Thanks, John. And the first play run by UCLA after recovering that fumble in a exciting sequence there, a gain of a couple, as the hit was made by Case and the fumble recovery by Donovan Gallatin. And let's take a look at it here.
Right up the middle, let's watch George Case, number 59, as he is able to get through and get his helmet right on the football. And there's Donovan Gallatin, who had a key turnover last week in the early part of the BYU game. But this is a second turnover deep in UCLA territory for the Huskies.
2nd and 8 from the 5-yard line. Cook's been under constant pressure, and he's sacked. 45, Hillary Butler was the man that pulled him down, a senior from Tacoma, Washington.
Watch Butler, number 45. He's the inside linebacker, and obviously Jim Lambright felt like he could bring some pressure. He pretty much predicted that UCLA was going to throw the ball in this situation, and he guessed right. Cook did all he could just to get out of the end zone and avoid another safety. 2nd sack of the year for Butler.
Hey, John, their field position, UCLA from the 1-foot line, the 11-yard line, and the 3-yard line. Back it up. Get it back. Out of the shotgun. On 3rd and 9. Handoff up the middle, and Milliner will get across the 5 to the 6 and just give him a little room to punt the football. Scott Greenlaw, number 12, and Lawyer Malloy, number 9. In there, of course, Greenlaw's the guy last week that recovered the onside kick.
That's right. He was the hero, and he was one of the guys that's just supposed to go down and block somebody for Cal, and the ball wound up rolling right underneath him. And that's what led to the recovery and the touchdown that won the game for the Huskies against Cal last week.
Darren Shager in the back of his end zone, and Bino Bryant at about his 43-yard line. So Washington should get good field position once again. They lead at 15-0, and Shager barely gets it off. Fair catch called by Bryant, and he makes it at the 43-yard line. So 2:39 to go first quarter, and it's been all Huskies here in Pasadena. Has been played in the UCLA end so far with 2:39 to go first quarter. Damon Ewert will hand it to number 11, Bino Bryant, and Jameer Miller, 95, came over to make the tackle, maybe a gain of 1.
Well, you see the Huskies offensively, they've had success running at Miller. And when you have a guy who's so quick and plays in the backfield as Miller does, you're a lot more successful running at him. You can see how he was able to run the play down from the backside, but he's not that big a guy, and if you put a tackle on him or you pull a guard or use a lead back to block him, he's not as effective.
Well, one of the things that Washington's had trouble with this year, they came into the game with 17 fumbles, having lost 7. Now it's 19 fumbles, and they've lost 9 on a 2nd and 10 from the 43. Ewert is nailed. Man, he took a shot, and Kosi Littleton had him wide open, and just as he released the football, put a big hit on him. And
Kosi Littleton is one of 2 players who started every game last year for the Bruins, the other one being Marvin Goodwin. But he's a guy that specializes in blitzing, and once he sees the quarterback out of the pocket, he puts a monster hit on Ewert, who was just throwing the ball away. Probably should have done it a little sooner.
That was right on his right shoulder, too. Huskies 2 of 4 in 3rd down situations. They've got it 3rd and 10 from the 43-yard line. Bino Bryant, and inside the 40 to the 39. That'll bring up a 4th down situation. Grady Stretz, number 77, and Marvin Goodwin, number 22. Goodwin, a junior from Camden, New Jersey.
And the Bruin faithful are giving their defense a hand, as they greatly needed to hold the Huskies there and keep them out of field goal range, and that's just what they did.
John Wardell will come in to punt it on a 4th down and 5. As he stands back at his 45-yard line. And Paul Guidry, number 12, is standing at the 10. Andy Colbert, who plays both on kick return and punt return teams on a high snap, is injured and not playing today. So Guidry will let that thing go. Man, it looks like Washington's down it inside the 1-yard line. Just when you thought that UCLA might get some breathing room. Great job by the special teams of Washington as Wardell gets his 7th punt inside the 20 this year. And Leif Johnson, who's the main man, has 8 tackles on the special teams, gets down there to down it.
Watch the end of the punt. UCLA's starting position so far in this game has been their own 9-yard line. and it's actually going to be decreased a little bit here now. Probably the average starting position is going to be their own 5-yard line. That's a hard way to operate your offense.
I don't know if NFL teams ever draft guys just to play on special teams, but Johnson is one they might want to look at. He does a terrific job. Cook trying to throw out of the end zone, and he finds Kevin Jordan. And Jordan gets him out to the 9-yard line. Russell Hairston, 26, and Lamar Lyons, 25. We're there to bring him down.
We have a banged-up player for the Huskies in the field. Jim Lambright brought the blitz again that time, as I saw Lewis Jones, number 1, who plays safety for the Huskies, coming on a blitz. So they're trying to play a pressure defense here deep in the territory.
All right, now let's send to New York and John Saunders.
Give you an update now in the Big 8. Colorado facing unbeaten Oklahoma Sooners. Cordell Stewart to Charles Johnson underneath the coverage. He just takes off after catching the football. 64 yards by the time he reaches the end zone. And the Buffs leading Oklahoma 13-0. Back to you.
Thank you very much, John.
That's one of the teams Gary Gibbs has yet to beat. You know, he's 0-3-1 against Colorado. He was able to beat Texas this year for the first time, but at Oklahoma, you have to beat Texas, and you have to beat Colorado,
and you have to beat Nebraska.
You have to beat Nebraska.
DeMarco Farr is the injured player for the University of Washington, senior from San Pablo, California. Looked like the right knee, the trainer, team doctor were out there taking a look at.
Let's watch DeMarco Farr, number 75, in the center of the screen. He reads the play as he starts on a slant to the right, and it looks like his left knee buckles, doesn't it? As he tries to, you know, many times when you have your cleat implanted in the ground, as he did, and you try and change direction, you can twist a knee or an ankle. It doesn't look like he's too seriously hurt as he's walking off the field unassisted with a little bit of a limp.
Well, Cedric White will come in to replace him, number 95. And UCLA, 46 seconds to go. First quarter, second down and 2 from the 9-yard line. Trying to get a first down, trying to get a little breathing room, and not much going right there as Jamal Fontaine came in quickly to make the tackle. This is a UCLA football team that last year struggled offensively, scored just 23 touchdowns all year. So far this year, they have scored 23 touchdowns. So they have improved the offense, but they're a little bit banged up on the offensive line and at running back right now.
I think it's also an indication of just how bad they were last year, having gone through 3 starting quarterbacks and winding up with John Barnes starting for them at the end of the year. They just couldn't put points on the board.
On a 3rd down and 1, time running out in the first quarter. Penalty marker goes down. That's the first flag today. Looked like Skip Hicks, the freshman from Wichita Falls, Texas, who had the great game against Nebraska, getting the call. Hillary Butler right there, 45, to make the tackle. This has been a productive inside linebacking core for Washington between Springstead and Butler. They've combined for 62 tackles this year.
And they both have 31 each.
Yeah.
Coming in there.
Illegal procedure, offense, 6 men on the line, 5-yard penalty, repeat 3rd down.
How often have you heard, John, when a team, you know, feels like maybe they've had a pretty good week of work and this is a game and they just come out and they just can't do anything right?
They were very excited, UCLA was, about their practices this week. They felt like they had taken their practice sessions to a new level. But oftentimes what you do on the practice field does not necessarily transfer into the game.
Well, there's no time on the clock. And the officials...
Penalty on the play, will have an untimed down.
So there'll be an untimed down.
So this is one of those moments in life when time stands still.
There's 68 Vaughn Parker there, the 300-pound right tackle from Buffalo, New York, who's a looming All-America candidate. 3rd down and 6 from the 5-yard line. UCLA has had absolutely no breathing room so far today. And Cook to Stokes. Stokes is in the open. A foot race. J.J. Stokes. 95 yards for the touchdown.
Wow. That is his 9th touchdown reception of the year. And this man averages a touchdown every 3 times he catches the football. He's 6'4.5", and he can run, and he uses his angular body to position himself well.
What a move.
Unlike so many people of his size, he's got the breakaway speed to go with it.
Russell Hairston was the man who had the last chance at him, and Stokes has now caught 13 touchdown passes. In the last 8 games, he has been on fire.
That's his 9th of the year, and 11 is the single-season record held by Sean LaChapelle.
And he might break that today.
He might break that today.
Bjorn Merton to attempt the point after. And it's good. And what do you think about that, folks? That's the end of the first quarter. Washington leads UCLA 15-7.